Hello, and welcome back. Northstar with another Hearts Iron 4 got to Damarun, US single player socialist Let's Play. Now, it did occur to me I was being maybe a little, not intentionally disingenuous, but obscuring some things I was talking before about, at least from the more roleplay perspective. The Neo Confederates aren't just rising up because I do want to desegregate the South eventually, although I'm sure that's absolutely a factor. It's also because eh, socialism, communism going that way. I mean, the first Red Scare had already happened at this point in history, so even though it had cooled down somewhat, there was a lot of anti-communist fear mongering. Um, However, the desegregation is a big thing, and communists, Marxists throughout history have. And I'm not a communist, I'm a democratic socialist, and I mean that's like literally the focus is called democratic socialism. But democratic socialists, Marxists throughout history have always been anti-racist, have always been opposed to things like the Confederacy. Historically, Marx was alive when the U.S. Civil War, the first one, happened, and he wrote letters to Lincoln. He actually had a back and forth correspondence with Lincoln, letters expressing his support for the North against the Confederates. Um, this is something that Marxists have often shared technically with liberals in terms of being against racism. Of course, liberals have always been hypocrites about it. There's a Paul Klokshot thing recently tried going against the grain of claiming capitalism got a lot of its start in liberalism from slavery, but it's actually true. Liberals would condemn slavery out of one side of their mouth, but then they would build these massive colonial empires. They would trade extensively with the South. They would condemn the South as backwards, but the cheap cotton would allow their industrialists to get rich. And you look at the U.S. in the era of neoliberalism, because liberalism died in the 1800s, and arguably is maybe less racist than neoliberalism, which Nixon and Reagan's political advisors have some very canned things they've said about neoliberalism. Makes it clear the racist undertones and dog whistles. But you look at the Indonesian genocide, the East Timor genocide. Where the heck? Uh, Here, Portuguese Timor. This is where the East Timor genocide happened. Portuguese Timor after uh, East Timor, Portuguese Timor gained independence. The Indonesians who had just done the Indonesian genocide under a CIA-supported puppet regime marched in, genocided that population. The Bengal famine, which was very much a Churchill thing. I guess he was a conservative, not really a neoliberal, because he wasn't in favor of small government or the neoliberal state that existed mainly to protect the rights of capitalists. Not really small government, where neoliberals don't believe in that, but government that serves mainly to protect the power of like corporations and their property, and doesn't get involved in much else. The Bangladeshi genocide, which was a Pakistani puppet regime, CIA supported, U.S. State Department funded, that did that to Bangladesh, which was breaking off of that time from Pakistan. And these are genocides, and of course, Israel. These are some of the most reactionary, racist possible politics. And that is what liberals often support while claiming they're against racism. So it's a two-faced hypocrisy. They claim to be against it, but then their actions speak otherwise. Marxists have always been much more solidly against it. In fact, there was nearly World War III nearly started because the Soviets blockaded Bangladesh to prevent the continuation of the Bangladeshi genocide, to prevent arms shipments from arriving, weapons, ammunition for the Pakistani soldiers, cut off their naval supply. If you play Hearts Iron 4, you know how important naval supply is, especially if you don't have a land connection, which Pakistan and Bangladesh did not. At the same time, in India, partly under Soviet pressure, was starting to cut off the land route. So they were cutting off supply, so the Pakistani troops couldn't continue to perpetrate a genocide where they were like wiping out whole villages and cities, just going through and shooting tons of people, especially any Muslims who were of a particular. I'm trying to remember. There's like different, Indian caste society. It gets mixed up because Pakistanis were um, obviously Muslim as well, but it was something to do with the untouchables. And it's all fucked up. Honestly, excuse my language, but there was some sort of like caste thing combined with, I think, some religious difference within Islam that was involved in the Bangladeshi genocide, and like tensions between Hindus and Muslims. It was really messed up, and the CIA supported it. And the Soviets almost started World War III to stop it. And it only stopped because of Soviet pressure. It would have never stopped otherwise. It would have kept going, probably like the, you know, Gaza, Israel, that kind of thing that just keeps going decade after decade. That would have been Bangladesh if not for the Soviets. So yeah, Marxists have always, and you can find like communist parties and socialist parties throughout Europe also opposing the Bangladeshi genocide, like in France and Germany and Belgium and stuff. So yeah, it's absolutely a factor here. And capitalism sucks. I mean, I'm sitting here screwed by long COVID, some of you know, and uh, just had to do. I regularly have to check in with these bloody bureaucrats. And one of them's like, is explain how I got screwed by SSDI, which is actually a different program. It's in Northstar Solidarity. It's a good song. Ideologically, fits with my views. I'd probably fit in very well with like a socialist party in Sweden, which I might be going to because the U.S. is slightly fascist. And few countries in Europe like disabled people, but apparently Sweden and Spain are very welcoming to disabled people. And I'm worried where that Spain will end up going fascist too, so that leaves Sweden. um, who knows? Maybe I'll become more politically moderate and move to Sweden. I'm not a country that's sliding fascist because that's part of what pushed me left, is seeing how far the right things were going in the U.S. But anyways, aside from whether I become more moderate or not, and I probably not because Marxist theory holds. Why would I? I mean, I might just feel less impetus to be less like outspoken, maybe, but maybe not. There's very good reason to support it. Let's see. These guys are marching into these mountains. They're doing a supporting attack. Did I order that supporting attack? No, I think the AI did it automatically. Interesting. Just looking at the micro. Figure out what's going on here. Yeah, these prices probably advance right into the mountains after they take these hills before the Confederates get to reorganize. But yeah, I live with a family. The heat was out. It was very cold until recently. Struggling, and you know, family people, not even union jobs in the U.S. unions are very weak, not getting paid nearly as much as they should, and housing being treated like a speculative product. So housing is super expensive. So I'm forced to live in a bad situation with family because I can't afford housing. This family member is house poor, so it also has housing, but there's almost nothing left over after paying for it. Sorry, coughing on COVID. So it's a bad situation, and it's very much a product of capitalism, neoliberal capitalism, especially in this welfare person. Oh, I was talking to. Oh, but you might just have for this is I go back to work. It's like, first of all, I went back to work. I wouldn't be able to say an onset of disability date that's almost 5 years ago, 4 years ago, when I actually became disabled on COVID. And if I was somehow even able to work, it'd be terrible for my health. Like, I'd have to massively overexert myself, and people on COVID really force them when they really aren't healthy enough to do it. They end up with their health crashing. It's very bad. I doubt I'd be able to work at all, but if I did, it'd probably be a very short time, and my health would crash. Um, and it would be very reduced hours, and even then, it's not feasible with my long COVID to work. And this person ought to know better to begin with, but then there's also than what she said, but you know, then they would reset the things. I would have to work for 5 solid years, getting forward credit secure. So I basically have to work full time for 5 years, which is impossible with long COVID. Even if I could swing it for 1 year and pay the cost of my health getting much worse, it'd be impossible. Because yeah, you have to have earned a certain amount, like basically 20 work credits within the past 10 years, and because the period I was in grad school for getting disabled, they would fuck me either way. But the whole system is screwed up, and this is just the viciousness that underlies capitalism. In order to protect the profits the bourgeoisie, which the declining rate of profit is a feature of capitalism. I would disagree. I actually did a video recently in my Northstar Talks Politics about how it doesn't, rate of profit doesn't actually decline to zero, but it will decline. But there's this assumption and this, a lot of Marxists claim it'll decline rate to zero, but the facts don't support that. You can still make a profit off automation just because no one would buy machines if there was no profit to be made off them. It's just the profit is usually less than exploiting human labor. And when there's no more human labor exploit, you can't exploit more. You can't bring in more workers without driving up the wages. So then you do machines, but they're still making like a 2%, 3%. And in fact, Second Thought did a video recently about the rate of profit, and it talks about objections to it. And there's an economist who said the rate of profit would decline to like 2 to 3%, which is what seems to be happening. It won't ever go to zero, but it'll get very low. Anyhow, enough of that. Showing a little of the front, taking a look at stuff. I did grab Special Forces doctrines down to expeditionary units. How long did I talk there? 10 minutes. I gain benefits from air support all my units from that. If I get blowtorch and corkscrew, my Special Forces have extra attack. I don't have any pioneers, but shorebone bomber also, I suppose, although I mostly keeping my navy at port to avoid sinking too many Confederate ships because they should come back after the Civil War. I went for jungle specialist because I prefer to use recon stuff to find, and just intuition to find good places to land where I won't make opposed naval landing. Same as doing Cuba. I wouldn't land in a port. I'd land like in the middle of the country and then march to the ports kind of thing. Or these hills instead of these plains. And then march across this river or land here, actually, to avoid a river crossing. Though Guantanamo might might be defended because it's a victory point. Point being is my tendency when doing naval invasions is to search for undefended places to land, and at which point I'm not suffering amphibious combat bonuses, and then march overland. And there's a lot of jungle. I'm going to probably want to march into South America after dealing with the Confederates, and the Mexicans will probably attack me soon because the AI communist Mexico. I'll know for sure if they form the Bolivarian Alliance. I did a couple fast forwards to see if things could play out. There's a chance Britain forms a faction with the Swedes, but there's also a chance they join the Axis. It depends. Soviets could enter war on the side of the Spanish Commune. The Spanish Commune could surrender before they can do that, which does affect things, obviously, with what the old order. I saw when that happened, the Soviets then went for collective security, and they form a defensive pact with France, whereas if they join this war, they go individual security and do the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. So, yeah, a lot of different ways things can play out. I'm going to have to keep an eye on stuff and play it by ear. But yeah, let's see. Got that one last training battalion. I'm working on this. I'll probably switch. Well, no, the infrastructure is almost done, but so is this. I might swap it. It's close to done. Like on the one, I don't know. We'll see. Got troops marching. Let me just take a second to pause and double review all these. And back. Sorry about that. I did decide I'm gonna always defend with, because of the mud especially, which in storm and very hot weather, it's to make it easy to defend here. So I'll pull a division east and send some divisions across the river here. If I can grab this terrain near Dallas, particularly along this river, and grab these forests while they're undefended, I won't have to fight for them later. So may save lives by being fairly aggressive there. That's the hope. Especially if, 4 divisions here. I doubt the Confederates will attack. So why have more men just staring at them? Anyways, let's get this music going in a sec. Oh yeah, keep an eye out to make sure the cast missions are actually going soon. And I will say something before I forget about Army doctrines. I considered going mobile warfare left-sided all the way. Uh, there's an argument to be made for that. And they can get you more manpower. In the end, all adults serve. It's like 20% more manpower, but you need 20% more equipment for that. Grand Battle Plan allows fewer divisions to hold my coastline and frees up a lot. And the majority of my divisions probably be like holding coast with the situation I'm going to be in to make naval invasions impossible. So, in terms of where I actually fight over land, maybe slightly weaker front lines than with mobile warfare if I had the equipment to organize a lot of divisions, but with Grand Battle Plan, um, it's a little easier on my industry, and it also gives me command power I can put into my navy, which I'm gonna need to eventually promote admirals with traits and hire new admirals. I'm probably gonna go trade interdiction after I have underway replenishment at some point. Even the first level of it will be beneficial compared to base strike in terms of organization for light cruisers and destroyers, or actually just light cruisers, but um, as opposed to carriers. If the British join the Axis, I'm probably going to fight them with subs, but not make the mistake that well the Germans historically made. You can't just do subs, and eventually depth charges will become common enough destroyers, and you'll lose too many subs for it to be worth it. The subs, the idea will be to heavily support them with aircraft. So the subs, they more serve as a stealthy force to locate the most vulnerable enemy ships, which are, of course, convoys. Um, and then aircraft come in and sink the convoys and their escorts. And they're the real killers. I'll still probably go the supremacy route with my sub MIO because this route you can still get actually um, the centrifugal pumps. Let's see, where was it? The anechoic tiles. The only thing it really locks you out of is long range rating, advanced periscopes, radar warning receivers, emergency main ballast, tank blows, and crash dive flood tanks. It's, you know, stealthier subs, but there's major benefits with production output on the right side and torpedo attack and mine laying, because subs can also be great for laying mines stealthily in areas that are contested, and sometimes there won't be enough escorts to worry, and I would like the torpedoes at least make a show, the subs to at least make a showing for themselves, even if I focus on supporting them heavily with aircraft. You can only bring so many aircraft to naval battles. The subs, I don't know. I could change my mind about this, but I doubt it. Probably, yeah, it's going to be tough. I'm going to have to deal with the British, German, and Japanese navies. So I'll have to defend my coasts. I don't know. I could always change my mind, go mobile warfare. I'm really short on manpower, but I doubt that. And yeah, Grand Battle Plan. Now let me recruit some sub admirals. Anyways, let's go. I have more steel than I thought, so I may start on a torpedo cruiser actually once I finish ladder shooting in 6 days and can design a torpedo cruiser that has mechanical genius. I won't have the trait yet for higher speed, which will actually benefit my fleet destroyers more than cruisers, because there's actually an exponential effect I was checking. Doubling speed results in less than half the chance of a ship getting hit, for instance, for any given doubling speed. So destroyers which are already faster, and that's relative to the surface visibility. Destroyers which are already faster and less visible benefit more from extra speed than cruisers. And while I have a little bit of steel, before I build more mill, I should probably do like 1 or 2 torpedo cruisers. Of course, I'll then mostly do fleet subs. They're more cost effective, but they're more likely to sink. You'll lose more manpower in the long run, but it's easier in the industry. Those torpedo cruisers also extend your fleet's range, obviously. Anyways, Let's see. Take a second for it to recognize I have air support here. Although abysmal efficiency. Why is the supply so darn bad at this air base? Because they're too far away, and this isn't receiving any supply yet. That's right. Kentucky Supply Hub. Kentucky infrastructure is damaged too. Let's see. West Virginia. Only one? Yeah, that's the shorter wave connection. I need the West Virginia infrastructure sooner than I thought. But by the time I build it, I'll probably already be out. Here, what I really need to do is just get troops out of Kentucky so they stop draining the state's local supply. Got too many men here, and it's impacting the air base a lot. Quite severely, in fact. Aren't these auxiliaries helping? Guess they can organize for a little while. Got the 40th Infantry, and they haven't even joined the fight yet. Alright. Sorry, moving some blankets off. Nowadays it gets hot inside with greenhouse effect in the afternoons, and then late afternoons, and then it cools right off, and then it gets cold, and I need blankets again. I'm already wearing a ton of layers. In fact, I'm gonna take one off here. Just one. Not wearing a hat indoors anymore, which is nice. It makes it easier to fit these headphones. It was a brutal winter dealing with long COVID and being the heater being broken. Well, actually, it's technically not the heater itself. It's a latch on the heater. It's stuck. It can't be. The furnace needs to be bled. It can't be bled because the latch to it is stuck. So we need to get someone to come in and fix that. That's not revealing too much about my situation. Always very worried about that. Right. To bring divisions back there soon. Well, no, I was intending to push into these mountains. Confederates have rushed a bunch of divisions because they probably saw my plan. They're like, nope. You shall not pass. Is there anywhere I can get a few more divisions to mark Clark? Here? I might strategically redeploy these guys. I don't know. I want to take Nashville sooner. Second American Civil War. The tensions in the United States have come to a boiling point, and happy with the policies of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. According to the communists as allies, as a coalition government, basically. That's what I've been doing. And pushing for both desegregation and eventually nationalization of industries, realistically. Key industries, at least. The legislators of several U.S. states have voted to secede from the Union. Any hopes for peaceful resolution of the conflict have been dashed, and hostilities have broken out all on the front. It appears that the majority of the government has decided to stay with the legitimate government. But reports show a surge in volunteers all across the succeeding states, with neither side willing to back down. Observers expect a long and bitter struggle. History repeats itself. Right down to, I think it was called Operation Anaconda, if I remember trying to strangle the Confederacy by sea eventually. In a second, I'm going to have to set convoy escorts first to deal with their naval rating, and then eventually I already took 3 battleships. That's right, off of exercises. The ones are more damaged. And they're going to port, where they'll sit, so at least they don't get more damaged. May send to repairs eventually, if steel becomes more short. But yeah, well, I have enough steel. I should probably not. I can afford 6. Now I have too many ships repairing. So I get a whole bunch. Wait. This is telling me about the munitions plant. It's fine. It'll get done with the infrastructure speeding up just a little bit. It should get done a few days before. My multiplayer game, of course, I miscalculated and failed by like a day or 2 on that mission. I got a similar, it was like, I don't know if it was Montana, but it was in the middle of nowhere. Actually, it might have been Montana, the multiplayer game as well, where I had to build a munitions plant and I failed the mission. I made some mistakes in the multiplayer game. I'm being more careful here in the single player, because they don't have an ally to fall back on. In fact, I'll have to march into Mexico when they attack me eventually. Which the AI will definitely do. Not importing anything. God, that music is... I don't like that song. Ride of the Valkyries. It's too distracting. For my long COVID brain, anyhow. Let's at least give it a second rest. So we can monitor all the fights better. Oh, there we go. CAS, providing air support. Gives me both air support buff and air superiority debuff on the enemy, which is now greater thanks to expeditionary forces. That makes this the maximum size of this buff bigger, and it scales based on what % you are to it. So it's this would actually be only like a like -3% debuff instead of -4.6 or something, 3.2 or something. It's a little bigger than it would normally be. Maybe it'd be like 3.8. Now it's 4.6. Might be less than I think. Let's see. You can see. Where is it? Expedition units plus 10% air. Maybe it's only 10% greater max size. That would be really tiny. Sworn. Oh, still it's a tiny buff. Even if it's like 0.4%, it still helps every bit. Helps. Okay. Oh yeah. Some point soon I'm going to want to more guys in training. From the multiplayer game, I think I disabled the basic infantry equipment for everything but the training battalion or training divisions. I have to check what I did with the micro there, but I have too many divisions to mess with something like that. Here are too many templates, and honestly, rifles in the field are more important. I don't have much reserve manpower anyhow, yet. Does ever take back Nashville from the New Confederates? I'll get a event that gives me extra manpower. Let's see. I hate when it does this. Anytime I take a state, it redraws the front lines, often in harmful ways. Makes micro a pain. If I don't get ahead of it, it becomes hard to figure out what went wrong. Boom. Marching down Arkansas towards Little Rock. There's a supply hub there, right? That these guys were gonna. It's hard to. Didn't I queue up other stuff, or it was these guys? Or yeah, I'm gonna swing to Nashville. Yeah, they. Okay, volunteer mounted rifles. So they actually rushed a division to defend Little Rock. The game thinks I'm losing. I might be for the moment. 2 divisions here, which must have strategic redeployed. They have no works, so they'll lose terribly. This division is sitting and doing nothing. I guess we're going to cross the river, that's right. We're going to help push this way. These guys need to keep marching. How is this fight yellow? I'm defending in hills with overwhelming superiority numbers. I guess their divisions are better organized. But I have firepower superiority and these guys get here, they might be able to swing north and support that fight. This is also going worse than I expected. This fight, let's see, these engineers are doing zilch. It's not even hot here. I'll have them march. I'd probably have to flank these guys. Not gonna win here. Without help. Even with the air support. All the bombing runs. I mean, my divisions are really under-equipped. That's part of it. Now they're attacking. These engineers, they actually have more firepower, but First, Second, Third Tennessee. These guys should have a multi-combat debuff. They're both attacking and defending at the same time. The enemy, they're miraculously doubling their attack here. Because reasons. They're not going to be able to march further than that. Oh, there's the multiple combat debuff. Like, they should have a debuff. And there they do. Which hurts their defense. Not enough to get frames of crits, but more importantly, their attack. For these 2 divisions, anyways. Definitely win here once some of these guys are pulled in. There's the reserves. There we go. Reserves initiated, if you will. Some of the auxiliaries are now in the fight. Arthur rolled ambush because he's got a 4 scale. Some decent chance. Gives him the initiative in the fight. That is the ability to reroll tactics and potentially roll better ones. Just marching in unopposed into the Texas Panhandle. I think that's good. Pushing towards Nashville. There we go. This fight's now green. Wonder why it wasn't before. Could have something that was supply, maybe? No, not really. Whoa. Pulled in a lot of extra divisions. 3 Birmingham divisions. Where the heck is Birmingham again? Should be Alabama, right? Here we go. Came all the way from here? Maybe? They really don't want to lose Little Rock. That's where the famous racist resisting integration of schools happened. And the National Guard had to be used to... And that was like under Eisenhower. That was well after this time period. Well, glad we outflanked them and I think I was gonna consider pulling these guys across the river. No, I might just grab Little Rock from behind them while they're looking at only one direction of attack. We'll see how it goes. Cool. Taking Western Tennessee, west of Nashville anyways, back. Good, good, good. There we go. These guys receive planning even if they're not the specific divisions. Like these arrows only have 3 and 2 signed. This is actually from here. Let's take Nashville. These guys will need. This airfill would be nice. It's undefended. I'm always wary of seemingly undefended gifts like this, to say the least. heck with it. Grab it while I can. Start marching before in the pre-dawn hours here, 4 a.m. These guys can reorganize some, then move in, support the attack. Hold on. And back. Sorry if it's a little disorienting. I saw it glint. I thought it was my cell phone, but it was just a little light glinting off. You have like a glass table, and it's kind of reflective. It's nice. I got it was like an IKEA thing, very cheap. Swedish furniture. Back when I was in grad school, investment something that was a little nicer and a little more expensive, but still, very good price. As I was on a path to becoming a physician, and would have become one if I hadn't gotten sick. And I was like, afford something that makes me feel a little less like I'm broke, and I hope to use for many years. And I still have the table, so. Did a little redrawing of front lines also while I was there, although not really enough, apparently. Cool. Took the Texas Panhandle and its supply hub undefended. Take a little while to redo the railroads, basically, because I lost my cores in the territory. Therefore, I have to suddenly change the railroad gauge. That really should be fixed, because it's not like the Confederates could change the railroad gauges overnight. Maybe it could reflect sabotage or something. These guys aren't moving. I'm gonna draw a new front line here. This is gonna disappear anyhow soon. Bradley's gaining some experience leading men, I suppose. There we go. Just swing through there to the river. One day, 20 hours. Yeah, I didn't lose any time by reassigning him. Boom. And I don't have to worry about weird stuff later. Wherever, whatever frontliner the game decide you should win on. Take that and proceed. Cool. Still fighting this defensive battle. Still marching the mountains. That's slow, of course. Got my aircraft providing fire support. Troops marching in, troops marching, reorganizing, planning. Cool. Hate microing it, but often I won't be aggressive enough pulling divisions, or like these guys, they've already would have to cancel and reinitiate the plan for it to automatically happen. Even though you lose planning faster and you might manually order attacks, which sucks. Oh, here's Defenders of Little Rock, I guess. already know they're going to be there. This guy's kind of erupted attacking. This guy should suffer multiple combat debuffs soon. Third volunteer mounted. Take a sec. River crossing and multiple combat. Here we have the Marines. River attack plus 7.5% compared to nothing. So it reduces the size of the river crossing penalty. A little bit. Attack value is, well, attack, and defense is actually breakthrough, plus 25%. So normally this would be minus 60% breakthrough, minus 60% attack. You can see they have a lot more breakthrough than normal. So the Marines are paying for themselves a little. Speaking of Navy stuff, I'm going to have to reassign my ships soon, get them to stop doing exercises, or else they'll get caught unprepared by what's to come. Navy XP doesn't even accrue over the day. It accrues like hour to hour or in 4-hour increments, so the longer I can keep the ships exercising, the better. If I can get to 60, I can take one more Marine Corps trait before I do that. Which I get almost 1 XP a day, so that'd be 3 days. Probably can't quite pull that off. Ah, these guys are defending, but in the mountains. Which gives them a terrain penalty. Might get driven back out, unfortunately. Where would I want them? Probably not where they can't reorganize, so... I'm allowed to retreat here, but there's no enemy divisions there. Game thinks they have nowhere to retreat. That's not good. Alright, these guys got a bit of planning now. Good bit of organization. Put the better, have the better armed ones join the fight as reinforcements, and others can wait a little longer, get more org. It's worth noting they don't have any artillery. Their org is reduced by having the artillery, but at least because they're such a big division, they have more organization than they would have if it was a smaller division. So extra men are useful, except for the fact that it's overdoing the supply. But I didn't think the Civil War would happen this early, so I didn't upgrade my supply as much as I meant to. Still. I'll take 4 days longer. Ensure I don't tie up as much. Get this done sooner and not tie up industry as much. So yeah. I think that'll be fine. How many days do I have? 28 on the munitions plant. This would take 29. I only have to cut off a day. I should be able to do it still. Especially when I occasionally get economic capacity surplus. reinforcements on their way everywhere. And doing their things. No fighting in the very east. Gives me less to focus on. Right, local time is almost midnight here. There's no point in having them not potentially get pulled in during the night when they don't do much. So when this guy's asleep before I wake him up. Good enough. Sleep till like an hour, a couple hours after midnight here, 2 a.m. Go reinforce. Take an hour before they even become eligible to reinforce, and usually it takes a while for them to actually do it. I know this is a lot of micro. I mean, we expect this game is not a first-person shooter. You're never going to see like combat people doing much other than these like animations of shooting. It's not the most exciting game I know, but eventually they'll cross. For now, they just defend and plan. I don't need him to go anywhere, and that's good because it'll take a while, even for MacArthur, who's brilliant. Oh, he's not reckless, but yeah, even for MacArthur, he's got 5 planning skill. It takes a while to get to max planning. I've got my casts doing what they can. The 28.5% mission efficiency. A few aircraft just doing air spray missions to increase as I debuff the ones that don't have bombs. That is. What's the most visible? Will tank any enemy fighters if they come in, which would be like probably foreign volunteers. I'm not going to see it there yet. Yes, the Nazis have sent 7 divisions to help the Confederates, Neo-Confederates. That's what I figured they would do. Yep. If there was any greater damnation of the, ideology in Neo-Confederates, the fact that they will willingly fight alongside the Nazis, I think, is pretty good proof of them being vile. Good guys don't fight as allies of the Nazis. I'm sorry. That's why I dislike all these, like Sweden's Axis communist path. That Flig guy, he's a prick. These guys are just suffering mud attrition and have almost no progress. I'm just going to have them focus on defending here. They're actually going to get driven out anyhow. In fact, I have them start retreating, drawing. It won't hurt their stats, but it will mean that they'll arrive here sooner. I don't think tactical withdrawals, yeah, they're not available unless you get a certain superior firepower. I always wonder about this tactical withdrawal tactics. So apparently you need either tactical control or, where is it? Advanced fire bases. That gives you a tactical withdrawal tactic, which starts all the tactical withdrawal. Other tactics become available after you roll tactical withdrawal. So, yeah, and those tactics are usually pretty good when defending. I don't think it even forces the division out of the province. It just represents withdrawing, like, further back within a province or something. And it even counters something, if I remember. Good tactics, for sure. Superior firepower is the best tactics in the game. It just doesn't get manpower bonuses like mass assault or mobile warfare can. It doesn't get extra command power in entrenchment and planning like grand battle plan gets. So it doesn't. It's got its uses. You can also do that. Well, this overwhelming firepower and get your divisions very cheap templates. It's nice to start with it, but I want to swap out of it to support my navy more later. The war will be won in the sea and the air as much as on the ground. I want my army doctrine to support my navy. Cool. Let's start marching divisions here. No. They'll just suffer attrition and they need to dig in. If the enemy rolls in with anyone. Oh well. They may have to reorg a little before they even go. It's tough. I don't have as many divisions, so I'd like probably been better with more smaller ones, but then I wouldn't have been able to, like, you saw how I enlarged divisions. Even though it made them under-equipped. Couldn't have done that as easily. We're just gonna fall in behind these guys for now. This division, or yeah. War in South America. Oh yeah, stemming from disputes that have been happening in the regions of Napo, Pastaza, and Santiago Zamora on the border of Peru and Ecuador, ever since the dissolution of Gran Colombia, it should just be of Gran Colombia, the doesn't belong here in English. Skirmishes have now started to occur between the two countries. Hey, they got the apostrophe right. Grammatically, after an S, it should be instead of yeah, that's grammatically correct anyways. Due to the recent settlement in borders with Colombia, Peruvian soldiers have felt confident pushing their claims against the weaker Ecuadorian state. Well, yeah, fascist versus democracy. Peru's got a much stronger military. And the skirmishes have now escalated into open conflict. This will test the stability of the region, as other countries may attempt to intervene. And fast forward, sometimes this fight goes for a while. I actually saw Ecuador win the fight in one. Fast forward. I think there can get events where other countries intervene, though, and they can end up having a white peace after just like a day with a tiny handful of casualties. Right now, it's actually Peru that's defending. Just be a little tiny bit of free army XP, basically, and a few manpower. It's a war that usually, sometimes if you're like playing Ecuador, you could win it. Or if you're doing Peru, you could push the war and occupy all of Ecuador potentially. But whoever plays it, Peru doesn't even have a focus tree yet. They really should give them one. Paradox. They really need to. The northern South America countries, the Central American ones need a DLC. Yeah, I know some people hate me for that. They should price it much less though than they charge too much. They should do more low price DLC sometimes. There's some things that are just not worth the full price, but you could still give them a little money, and as they're running out of other content to do, it's better not ever giving focus trees to those countries. Could mix in with some new features alternatively that aren't just specific to those countries, but need to be added anyways. There's always things like the spy system could really use a bit of a rework. Resource trade, there's a few things could use some reworks. I don't know. They could figure something out. Cool. These guys are losing, but they got a nice fortified position to fall back to. That is, there's two fully entrenched divisions there. Oh yeah, I'm getting Lend-Lease from my vassals, though they'll probably cancel before I actually get it. No, nothing from the Soviets or whatnot yet. And Soviets and Italians are semi-divisions, but the Soviets will probably always stick around a couple weeks. They actually should have done their Civil War earlier. This is a really late one. It can't be too much longer until it fires, unless they get lucky and they roll Stalin successfully being assassinated and avoid Civil War, which I think has a 1 in 4 chance of happening. And 2 Italian divisions. Expect the Soviet ones to go back to a Civil War. I could regret it if they don't have their Civil War and them stick with 8 divisions. They'll screw up my front lines, push in places I want to push, etc. Mess with supply. Uh, 3 days on ladder shooting. Cool. Working my way through Old Age Pension Act. And men are still marching into this area. It's mountainous as heck. There's no defenders, but it just takes a while. Weather is not cooperating. Lots of rain and stuff. Mud. It's all slowing down my advance. I think this was a cursed war, except I know I'm on the right side of history here, fighting to end segregation and ultimately beat the Nazis, be more aggressive about it. Communist nations be more aggressive, and reduce inequality in the United States. Do it early, because these things have a tendency to snowball. The more powerful the rich are, the more they can warp politics in their favor and become more powerful. So, stopping the rich from snowballing back in the 30s when there was actually a real chance to do that. Since FDR already did New Deal programs that helped the situation. And then he died and Truman screwed everything up. Of course, here, FDR won't be replaced by Truman. FDR will be replaced by Earl Bowder well before his death. In 44. Bowder is a piece of garbage, but he's a very left-wing piece of garbage who would definitely not undo FDR's policies, at least. Piece of garbage because he made excuses for U.S. history of imperialism, colonialism, and genocide against Native Americans. Perhaps he did it so that people wouldn't hate him in the U.S. At this time, people were a lot less woke, if you will, about these issues and didn't understand the history because they've been so propagandized. So that people would not automatically dismiss him out of hand and might consider what he had to say about communism, but he was still, I think he could have, he failed to build support even so, but I think, if anything, he just seemed dishonest and didn't succeed anyhow. It was stupid. That's my take on it, anyhow, that you should have done the right thing and condemned the history of imperialism and the way Native Americans are treated as the U.S. pushed west. Didn't have to be the way it was. I mean, the U.S. is probably going to conquer that land, but it could have done more to protect the rights of Native Americans for absolute certain. Maybe even give entire states them instead of stupid reservations that state constitutions enshrined. That would have been like ethnic enclaves, so not exactly a great idea. I don't know. Could have at least pushed against it, tried to slow it. It was unfortunately inevitable because capitalism is the world system. It's not like Marxism was around back then to stop that history of genocide. Where are the defenders of... Oh, these guys are north of Nashville. Won this battle in Tennessee. Just won it. Caused 1,000 casualties. Lost no one. I've not suffered a single loss yet. The battles have been so lopsided in my favor. 0 casualties. Of course, that's partly fighting well. When I leave it to the AI, when I fast forward, the U.S. would suffer like 250,000 casualties or more. The AI does not do a good job of handling these wars. I'm missing a division. There's one, I don't know where it is. Oh, 47th is also selected, I see. Alright, well, they won't be going to combat anymore. As might as well march in. Reorganize as they go. Keep their org up anyhow. And annoying stuff with redrawing fronts again. There we go. About to take Nashville. Now give me control of Tennessee. Give me help with my supply. Supply's got to be much better at this airbase now. Now that so many divisions have left Kentucky. Oh yeah, way better. Now I'm up to 1/3 mission efficiency, which is like 120 aircraft on CAS. 12, 18, 30. You can only use up to 90 of these. Alright, time to start reassigning to air superiority. Let's see. It's back 130, 40. Aircraft of 120. Can use up to 90, so no. Alright, I'm just going to do a single fighter wing, a smaller one, off the bombing runs. Because if you have more aircraft on CAS, it can actually be used that way. And they don't actually do it. Oh, wait, no. There's another fight here. Never mind that. Come on, go help them. Need their support. As well. Not that on the front line. I know there's a gap, but when I take this, there won't be. these divisions, you know. Well, I don't need them thinking they're going to go to Dallas if I... It just makes it harder to see what's going on. Oh. There's some resistance now to take Nashville. Not much, but some. And the Battle of Little Rock proceeds. Mark Clark's got to be getting engineer experience in this a tiny bit. Cancel on lease. As they realize my shortages are starting to get less as I produce stuff. Not much less, but enough that they decide they don't want semi rifles. Or maybe they just didn't have the available. No, it uses my convoys, so no. Can't be that. Probably try and send me it again soon. 1 week till volunteers arrive, that'll help. Nobody's marching here yet. Oh. It's because I have to march through here. But yeah, win this fight. I'll pull division south. No. Oh, the enemy's already in retreat in Nashville. That's dumb. Here we go. Special Forces Doctrine. Blowtorch Corkscrew. That'll give me Special Forces Attack, which will help with the Battle of Little Rock here. If it hasn't. Country, 12.5%. Yeah, because it only helps the Marine portion. But yeah, an extra 2.5% attack for the division. Which is about 0.5. Soft attack, it's almost nothing, but every bit helps, I suppose. Cool. I'm going to pause it. How am I doing for time? Oh, I'm already at about end time. I guess I could do it between videos then, redoing the Navy stuff. Because I am going to have to... I've pushed it as far as I can, and the need to protect against convoy raiding. Reassign people different admirals and stuff. These guys are losing. It's just a matter of not having enough. They can get there just before the enemy, in theory. Yeah, they're going to lose. So I'll have them start retreating. Volunteers from Tennessee. So I can do separate units. I checked. With this, you get 2 units. You get 2,000 more manpower, but the divisions can't, in our template, they can't be edited, so it's not that useful. I'm pretty sure they disappear after the Civil War. Versus in the Army, you get more equipment and 10,000 manpower. You definitely won't lose later. So volunteers from Tennessee. As our forces advance in Tennessee, they've come across a large number of sympathetic citizens who have long harbored hidden sympathies towards us. Swept up in a wave of patriotic fervor, they've asked to join our military. Integrate them into the Army. Not that. Got a little more surplus manpower. Reserve. It gives me some M1s, which I'm just going to put that into train new battalions. Reason why is it gives me more control over where the extra weapons go. In some cases, I'm actually going to have to use it as the core of divisions for coastal defense, or more likely, small engineer divisions on the Mexican border. So they'll probably be pre-deployed at like 20%, then enlarge into like 8 with engineers. I have to defend. You can see Mexicans already massing on the border. So I'll want to start getting some divisions on like San Diego, Phoenix maybe. Rather than try and defend right at the border. Defend this river, Arizona. Stuff that's further back. So yeah, San Diego. Then on this rail line to Phoenix. I do have a supply hub here. I probably don't want to lose that. But ignore this desert, and I guess, boom, boom. These mountains on the border. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 divisions. And eventually I'll want more in here in New Mexico, but that'll pressure local supply. And this one I was probably going to mix into existing division, so really, maybe I shouldn't. These guys, let them just stick around, get heat colonization, whatever. Maybe I'll just do all this core of all 6 divisions once you can pre-deploy, because I don't even think they'll reach regular or even trained for sure. Maybe trained before the Mexicans attack. In Mexico attacks. Sounds like some. That was some bad taste. Mexico attacks. I don't know. They're not a nation you normally expect to attack, but they definitely will be doing so here, so. Oh, I see. This is part of this longer. Boom. These guys are going to reassign to this front line. Oh, can't take this without fight anymore. We'll still probably do it eventually, but to wait to push further into Mississippi towards Birmingham. Actually, just attack with these guys eventually. Alright, well, this is as good a time as any to save, I suppose. one more day before I actually cut the video. Hour and 20 minutes. It's getting long, but it's not terribly. These guys in Nashville, what are they doing? Come and go in there. Yeah, this includes my best divisions, doesn't it? Best equipped anyhow. They're organizing. Guess I can get rid of that arrow. Let's keep marching south to the river in Tennessee. These guys are organizing, planning and stuff, and probably attack soon. They have no planning. The enemy will probably entrench. Alright, attacks, they don't get to entrench, but they should have high org by now. Right. High enough. Yeah, prevent these guys from reorganizing too much. These guys will push right back into those hills, technically in Alabama. Defend the river line. Ah, ladder shooting. Nice, nice, nice. Splinter protection. On the way to transom stern. This right into shell dies. Worth noting. I get naval engineering. Oh shoot! I don't have the Navy XP to rush that. Well, I can wait. As much as breakthroughs are nice and stuff, I really need to be careful with my research points. Is there anything else of a tech? Could start working towards saving up for improved radio. Do it slightly ahead of time, maybe, but get aerodynamics breakthroughs, which are really useful from it. Cool. That's probably what I'll do. Oh, easy to forget. Assign mechanical genius here. Reliability, which makes ships less likely to suffer crits. Could even do a improved one of these. Shoot, takes Navy XP to redesign the ships. 5. I guess it's time to start repairing these battleships. There we go. Doesn't instantly start on that. Want to maybe replace this with something else instead of actually starting production. Anyways. This fight's still ongoing. This is this. Somehow these infantry are still holding on. I'm going to start a tactical withdrawal, though. They're not going to win, I don't think, despite what it says. You can always cancel it. It doesn't hurt them. But I think it might be necessary. Making a reckless assault across a bridge. Surprisingly, it works. That's actually a good tactic. No, it's attacker tactic damage in their defenders. Actually, it's a real bad tactic. Ooh. Yeah. Helps the attacker. I'm the attacker. These guys should be suffering multi-combat penalties, and they're not. Still. Thought they would. Oof. It's a lot of enemies. Helping them out. A lot of enemies attacking there. These divisions better armed. Oh, it's the engineers, interestingly. Probably has to have way more defense. Strategic redeploy these engineers here. Focus on this, but I could take Dallas now, in theory. I'm going to go all in on this. Both these divisions. default assault division just sitting here. Give command of them to Bradley, I think. And order him to attack these guys who are attacking my divisions. Cool, multiple combat penalties. The win. Bradley is better general than Fredendall. I might want to give a different division to him somewhere else anyhow. Somewhere where the guys can really dig in. Of course. These divisions. Not doing anything with these engineers. For now. Now I can give someone else MacArthur. He's got more attack skill than Bradley. Can plan faster because he's not careful like Bradley is. These are guys who fell back here, right? MacArthur can play in the counterattack. Alright. I like to not save right at midnight. That'll have to do. I'm sure this video's gone a little too long. Save in case of save corruption. An hour and 33 minutes. Well, that's enough for now. Got some Navy stuff to do off camera. The video's all enough. Giving you guys plenty to watch through. So, I wish you all the best. Take care of each other. Be kind to yourselves. And may you always find a guiding star to lead you home. Until next time, this is Northstar. I do. And best luck with everything, really. Till next video.